Hello, welcome everyone back to our Taboo Talk. This is actually our final talk of this month's theme, which has been all around death. And it's been it's been deeply profound just to have these conversations around death. And today we're going to be talking with Danielle, and she is about to join us here with SISociety. A breathwork facilitator and a coach with a program called White Butterfly Coaching. And she's here with us now, Danielle.
Yay, hold on. Let me just get things really clear.
Amazing. And Heather will be joining us too, our other member of SISociety.
Amazing.
How are you doing? Lovely. It's been so long since I've seen your face.
Wow. Yeah, there's been a lot of death portals present.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, love. Okay, so we haven't met. You guys are business partners, or what's the vibe?
Mm-hmm.
We call ourselves soul collaborators, soul sisters, but sometimes different paradigms we say that we're business partners.
All the things.
Yeah.
Soul collaborators. I'm there with you.
So,
Right. Nice ring to it. It's very flowy and yeah. And this is, thank you for taking your time and energy and sharing it with us today. And yeah, I can speak on behalf of both of us. We're so grateful to have you, and I'm so happy to meet you and dive more deeply into this topic of death in a variety of ways.
It's my favorite topic, so I'm all here. When Elfina was like, it's the last week that we're talking about taboo, or maybe not taboo, but specifically the death talk, or what was the last week?
yeah, it's like we do taboo every week or every month. It's a different taboo topic. So this month it's about death, and it's the last week we're talking about death. And I think it's really beautiful because number one, you're a Scorpio, and I know that you love to talk about the dark side of things. And number two, you call yourself a white butterfly. Like that's your spirit animal, and butterflies to me resemble the death and rebirth process, the metamorphosis. And I feel like this week, it's like the last week around death is almost this like more of a focus of the rebirthing energy.
Yeah.
I also just experienced the most profound death or transition of a soulmate, brother, lover that is just profound, and we haven't caught up about that, but I'm sure you're seeing it and just witnessing it, and wow. Starting off strong.
Strengthen your vulnerability, and something that's come up for me in the space of grief and yeah, if you're open to sharing what you're moving through, we'd love to hear. Is just that, like, for me, grief feels like the totality of everything that you could possibly feel kind of condensed into the human body, and it's love. It's like it's unconditional love. It's memory. It's maybe like regret, resentment, joy, gratitude, like everything completely rolled into one in the space of our bodies, which can feel like so much to hold. And that for me, like, is why I feel so grateful for grief, and I'm curious how it's presenting itself for you and what it's teaching you and what you're feeling. And yeah, thank you for bringing your beautiful vulnerability to space. I'm so honored to witness you in this space. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking of you too, Danielle, because I saw that you were just sharing so vulnerably and like heart open about your experience with grief, and I wanted to just like give you a chance to really process that and have space to express maybe to other people who are also going through similar grief process, like what's been helping you. And before we go into all of this, I would love to just introduce you to everyone who might be joining. Maybe just take a step back for just a moment and then go into all of this, all of these beautiful feelings. So yeah, just so grateful today to have one of my dear sisters, Danielle, with us with SISociety. Danielle is a certified international breathwork facilitator, a mentor, a brand owner, a muse, and a writer. And she is the creatress of White Butterfly Coaching, and also a one-of-a-kind journal that's called I Dream Journal. It's a creative dream journal, and so beautiful that you've created. I've witnessed it on the backside on Canva. I'm like, this is so beautiful, inspiring me, because I'm also working on something that's, it's not like, it's similar, but it's a little bit different, and you've been inspiring me. So yeah, she's really beautiful, just beacon of light, and she is able to weave breath work and dream work together with elemental wisdom in order to unite fun, freedom, and connection. And again, so honored to have you with us, Danielle. You're so multifaceted, talented, beautiful from the inside out, and you have so much wisdom to share. So again, truly grateful for your presence here. So I would feel super enlivened if we could even like maybe start with a little breath work.
Yeah,
Like a couple minutes or something.
absolutely. Honored. We can all do what I call the 20 connected breaths. It's a series of 20 conscious connected breaths. So it's basically 4 short inhale exhales through the nose. So it's all through the nose. So 4 short breaths followed by 1 long breath. So that's 5 breaths total. And then you just repeat it 4 times for a total of 20 connected breaths. And when I say connected, meaning that the inhale and exhale are merged together. So there's not a gap or a hold. It's just the continuous. Right? Okay. So 4 short, 1 long, 4 times 20 total.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, good. So let's just close our eyes down and just kind of settle into your space now, and just feeling your body, feeling your breath, noticing the senses, noticing the sounds, the feels, the textures happening all around you and within you. And let's just begin by taking 1 deep cleansing breath together. So deep breath in, exhaling, and let's begin for 20 connected breaths. Two more rounds. Last round, deep breaths in, into the chest. And on that last one, hold it at the top. Take a little bit more air in. And feeling the energy expand around your heart. Holding and exhaling all the way out. And just as as your eyes are closed, just tapping in and recognizing the subtle sensations that you may be feeling in your body, in your mind. Maybe you feel a bit tingly, a little relaxed, maybe energized, maybe you feel excited and energized inside. Just knowing that that is accessible to you at any moment throughout the day. Bringing yourself back. Hello, hello, welcome back.
Woo!
Yeah. Oh,
Breath.
my greatest tool of all time, the breath.
Wow.
So,
What medicine.
yeah.
Like, I to be completely transparent, I like been moving through a lot of initiations today and feeling a bit anxious, and just even that short time with my own breath, I feel more present, I feel more grounded, I feel more alive, I feel more connected. So thank you so much for that. That was a beautiful start to this connection.
Sharing. It's so great. And you could really do that one any time of the day, throughout the day, as many times as you like. You know, take it when you need it.
Right? What a tool. What a tool to have in your back pocket.
And what a great segue too, because if we're gonna be death, right? Like I had a really powerful ego death, 2021, and it was following my second year breathwork training with my teachers. They are based in Greece, so they hold their in-person trainings on a beautiful island called Samothrace, and it's they hold their in-person trainings there on this like incredible island. It's like nature, waterfalls, and I was camping, and so being on that island is like being in the womb. That's how I kind of describe it. And following that training, it's a 3-week long, every day we're doing lectures followed by a session, giving and receiving a session. So it's like 15-hour days, 3 weeks, every day for 3 weeks. And this was my second year coming back to the retreat. So the first year was like amazing, right? It was like all this new knowledge and the breath, and I was super inspired. But it wasn't until the second year that I came back that I really was able to go deeper and really unravel deeper layers, right? And so following that training, I was living in Santa Monica, and I was living in Santa Monica with my partner at the time. And long story short, I experienced a full-on death of myself. I felt intuitively, like I told him before I left, I'm not going to come home the same person. But little did I realize that it was really hard for me. I came home and it was just like all I wanted was I needed like space and to integrate my process, because it was like even just like seeing him and being in this house with him, and just the role as the girlfriend, the role as the daughter, the role, like all the roles were just like they died. And so even just seeing him, and like it was like I was a stranger, and like he was a stranger. And I ended up going to Costa Rica a few months later to just like give myself the time and space to just integrate and be in solitude and be in nature. And so following that training, I then, in order to advance my certification as a practitioner, as a certified rebirther, it was required of me to receive 10 breathwork sessions from a woman to heal the mother wound, and then 10 sessions from a man rebirther to heal the father wound. So this is and so that was like all that work I did following the training. So it was like a year long of just like deep, intensive, like every session is really like a death and a rebirth, but I mean, I'm still integrating that whole process of like just going for the deep dive, right? And I mean, wow, that from the training, that was like the initial like I am not the same person anymore. And then through that whole process, that year of receiving the sessions from the woman, 10 sessions from the man, and then like the father wound, the mother wound, all the things, it was just like all this stuff just completely purged out of me. And I remember in that process as well, I also received the download to when I went to Costa Rica following my training. I just received like the feeling to separate from my partner at the time, and it was really hard, of course, because it was like, this is like, you know, there's nothing really wrong, but it was like the intuitive feeling that this is actually going to be this is going to best serve us in the way that it's meant to. And something my breathwork teacher told me at the time in the training, it was a day that we were talking about erotic relationships, and this was a great day.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that last week where we already talked about like the birth and the school and the childhood trauma and like all the layers of up to development. So this was like an epic day of lecture. And I remember her saying, if you're in a relationship for anything other than love, you're out of integrity with yourself. And it just stuck with me. And it stuck with me for the reason that I started to realize through integrating my process through months later, that I wouldn't be in my integrity if I stayed in this relationship. And I mean, of course, every relationship is very unique in itself. And I always encourage you to, you know, stick to what feels true for you, and in your intuition as well, right? We know, we already know deep down, you know, the truth. But this is all like playing into, you know, the journey from like that first death. I mean, deaths are happening every time we breathe, right? And that I like to see the breath work as well, because every time we inhale is life. It's a rebirth. It's life. You're breathing in life, you're welcoming in life, you're receiving life force energy, and every time you exhale, there is a death. It's a surrender, there's trust required. And so the breath is such a beautiful metaphor to a teacher as well of life and death happening at every moment that we take a breath. So this kind of segues into like all that work that I did, and just really like aligning myself in the frequency of love and what it feels like to be true to me, to be in my integrity. Because that was hard to walk away from someone who I do love, I still do love, but it wasn't serving me in a way that I felt myself like in this new vibration. Because, you know, when I got back from that training, I was in such a different vibration and frequency that it like, that was the hardest part. It was like the feeling was like, nope.
Yeah.
It was like, and that's wow, you know, like if that feeling was like, there's no way, this is like the energetics of it was just like complete dissonance. So, and that kind of like, you know, fast forward, and then I meet Ari. This was in February of it was 222 that we met, February 22nd. And I mean, that was such a cosmic encounter, because it was like two people coming together that were just in such same frequency that, I mean, there's no way that we couldn't have met, you know, like everything in the universe was like. And he literally was in New Zealand like a week before. He's from New Zealand. And so, and he later, I learned as well, like he also spent the past like 2 years doing his deep dive with breathwork with his breathwork teachers who are based here in LA. And I mean, he took that time as well to really honor and like take his time to heal and do his work necessary. And you know, it's really just like comes back to trust, because it's like if we're meant to meet someone, like there's nothing in the universe that will inhibit you.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to ask me specific questions, but that was kind of we can go deeper into it, but there's so many layers. Yeah, with art as well, that it's just it's I feel so hopeful because what we experienced together, it was just like complete alignment of like trust of like, I mean, we weren't even looking for each other, and it was just like we were just at such a similar vibration. It was just like magnets, you know. And wow, like the journey we had is profound. And I'm writing, you know, I'm in the process of writing. I feel a book being birthed through me because of the story that and what we experienced together in terms of like hope and life and death. And for anyone who is walking through a death portal, whether it be a job, whether it be a relationship, whether it be you're moving, whether it be a, you know, the identity, you know, like an identity crisis of just like, who am I? This part of me is dying. Or even an actual death, a transition of someone close to you. So this is the juice. This is like what I live for. And so this, I feel like, wow, I really am in a place that I have my tools and my things that have worked for me, that have helped me to transmute and alchemize this pain and loss and betrayal into peace, right? And into joy. And I mean, of course, the grieving is so real, and I do feel it all, and just do my things that allow me to move through it with ease and peace. But it's profound to reflect on how everything that I've walked through has prepared me for this, for that, for what happened. And I mean, now I'm really, you know, in it, right? I'm like in it. It's like, you know, in the eye of the storm, like in the grief, in the loss. But I can also see the hope and the gift in it all, because I see how much it's catalyzing within me, in my journey, and opening my heart and serving and like embodying greatness. And all the things. So I mean, yeah, Ari, he passed on so many incredible things still being revealed. Every layer's like, every day is like another layer. But yeah, I keep going off on beautiful tangents. So yeah, if you guys have any specific things you want to ask, like, I'm here for it all.
I mean, oh, I for that share. It doesn't feel like a tangent at all. It feels incredibly relevant. And what I'm here to say is something that I've been noticing coming up in the collective a lot lately, and it's this life death portal, and it's a deeper call to higher levels of our truth. And when we meet that with the universe and within ourselves, we can only meet that moving forward. It's like when we really listen to the call, it's like you were in this relationship where you loved this person, but it wasn't feeling fully aligned. It wasn't feeling fully in your truth. And so a death being called in that space, and you so gracefully and courageously honored it. And when we honor these things, it's really like, we talked about this before, Alfina, but like the full fuck yes, like the full body yes, right? And how that's a message to the universe. Like when you choose what you really truly desire, it's not like, oh, I kind of want this, or I want pieces of that. It's like, no, this is exactly what I want. And like, maybe we don't quite understand it, but it's this deep knowing. It's asserting to the universe that this is the new frequency, and that I'm worth it, and that like there's something else out there for me. And I know that me releasing this other person or situation, I'm also releasing them to be in higher levels of their truth. So it's like this beautiful cycle that I really see so many of us moving through, and you particularly. So thank you for sharing. And it really feels like, yeah, an honoring of a death so then new life can be born, right? It's like holding on to something, we're not really fully asserting to the universe, to God, to consciousness, that we're ready for something new, that we're ready for a new layer of initiation, or whatever that may look like. So
I want to speak on this. Yeah, just in claiming ourselves in whatever it is, right? In that loss, and one piece that has transform, I mean, grief in itself is a transformer. Like, that is, I've just like tapped into new levels and layers of love through grief, and it's transformed me. And a big part of my process is also my perspective, which is, you know, is so unique, but I think perspective is everything. And seeing my perspective, that I see it as not something that is happening to me, because I feel like this is where a lot of people who are experiencing loss, or a death portal, or a death, you know, or the loss, or a relationship, whatever it is we talked about, you know, the different death portals that can occur in your life. I feel like most people tend to get stuck in the victim, you know. It's like, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? When it's literally, it can be as simple as switching that narrative to, not only is this happening to me, not only is this happening for me, but recently I've upgraded this to, this is happening through me. And claiming yourself in that you have attracted and magnetized this, not only for you to serve you in your growth and your benefit, but to also, it's transforming you. It's you, this is happening through you, right? It's like taking it to a whole nother level of like, it's not even about you. Like, yes, you know, like, we are human and we have these emotions and we're feeling, but this is like, this is so profound to see it in this sense. And when you can see it, and it, that also brings that piece of detachment, right? As like, not only is it like, no, this is, you are co-creating this experience with the universe, or with God, or whatever your higher power is. This is a collaboration. This is a co-creation that you are creating. And that, I mean, having a spiritual practice is, I mean, helps as well, right? Because death is such a taboo topic. Like, this is a taboo conversation. Like, this is about taboo, okay? Like, death is one of the biggest forms of taboo topics that we can even talk about. And it's just, it's so profound. And it's been like, it's so beautiful to me, because, you know, you go to Asia, right? Southeast Asia, and you see how they celebrate death. I've lived in Bali since 2016, and their death ceremonies, their funerals, you could call them, are the most beautiful ceremonies. I like, they're all in white. It's like hundreds of people in white, and I mean, they are extravagant, you know. It's just like cosmically just in awe at what a celebration, and how much they honor and devote and celebrate death, because they see it as it is inseparate, right? It's like coming back to, why is this happening to me, as this is part of a co-creation, that also death is not an ending. I mean, it is an ending, and we experience it, right? It's an ending to an extent, but it's an energetic sense. It's just, I mean, nothing is being destroyed, you know, and things are also simultaneously being created. So it's just part of it's really a wavelength, and just I think, you know, just honoring that the death nature in us is simultaneously, when there is a death, there is a rebirth right after. I mean, it you know, it's a process. And I think, you know, integration is the name of the game. Honor your process and have patience for your process, and don't judge yourself and judge yourself or look at others and compare yourself to other people's processes, because your process is so unique to you. And to like, to even go there and compare yourself to someone else's process is just, it's so harming, you know. So it's like, it's so, you're having your process, and it's for you, and it's unique to you in a way that is, couldn't even compare to anyone else's. And it's just so beautiful if we can begin to invite that and like perspective of that, you know, and seeing the gift in it, seeing the beauty in it, seeing it as, you know, maybe I am in an incubation period and I'm deep in it, but I can trust that there is going to be, it is a rebirth happening, and new life is emerging. And the beauty, right, just seeing the beauty that is existing in every breath as well. And like coming back to the breath has been like my biggest anchor, just to anchor me into the present moment, anchor me in my body when it's just like chaos all around me. It's like, okay, let me take a deep breath and center myself in my body, because this is so important when it can just be chaos all around us, and it feels like, wow, there's no hope to move on, right? It's like, yes, there is hope. You're breathing, you can take a deep breath, and that itself is a beautiful reminder. So yeah, and that our heart is there, and we are heart-led beings, and our heart is beating every day. It's like your heart is your MVP, you know. So it's like your heart, it's not like asking you permission to be, it's there serving you every freaking second. Same with your breath. So let's not forget that we have those hearts and we have our breath, and just honoring them, you know, and letting our heart and our breath lead us. Lead us, yeah. Mm.
Got codes, girl. You got codes for days on this Just Life Rebirth portal. I love it. You're just so immersed and enmeshed in that being like your way of life. It's very apparent that you, like you're saying, like even this most recent initiation for you, most recent death portal, which was perhaps one of the most challenging ones that you've been through, that your soul like chose to co-create this experience for this even more massive perhaps rebirth than you've ever experienced before. It's like someone recently told me that this analogy of when you're stitching, like to create a stitch, it requires up stitches and down stitches, and you need both of them to create that firm the stitch, right? So it's deeper that we go into these death portals. I really do believe that we're creating that spaciousness to rise higher through that rebirthing every time. And yeah, I would just love to hear like whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, if you want to share around this most recent death portal for you, and maybe a little bit about what happened and how you've been able to move through that since.
Thank you for asking. Oh, yeah, it's been beautiful story time, because when I'm around people, I feel inspired to share what happened, because it almost like expands me just talking about it. But to give the audience some context, because context is important. So Ari and I met in February, and wow, just like two soulmates meeting, you know, it was just like the companionship, the friendship. I mean, that was like the foundation. It was like we went for the deep dive from like day one, and just like full transparency, our hearts just like out on the table, just literally like every day, just like learning about each other through like unraveling everything about each other and just holding each other in that space. It was just like such a beautiful container, you know, and just all about like, how can I serve you? How can I support you? And we met in here in LA, and he was about to go to Costa Rica, and I actually decided not to go to Costa Rica because I just got back from like 9 months of traveling, and I was kind of like, nope, I'm just gonna like chill. And I wasn't gonna go with my best friend actually. And then I met Ari, and then he was going to Costa Rica, and I was like, you know what? Like, he also does breath work, facilitating. Like, we're both in the same exact space, like wanting to travel, wanting to go connect with a community in Costa Rica and like share the breathwork codes there and just like get a bunch of amazing content and just go live our best lives. And to me, I'm like, abundance for me is when I am embodying the energy of what it feels for me to be abundant, which is playing, which is being in a different culture, which is sharing and, you know, educating people, like connecting with new people, and just being in that space to me was just like full abundance. So anyway, long story short, we traveled to Costa Rica together. We caught the last weekend of Envision Festival, and you know, every day we were just exploring, like literally transcending like karmic stuff, like all day, every day. It was so beautiful, but really just like such a beautiful, really just wow, like a glimpse of what a relationship is, like should and is, of something that was really funny, that he was like, you know, I thought I really sucked at relationships, and then he's like, actually I realized I'm like really freaking good at them, like in regards to us being together, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh, me too. Like, I thought I like, you know, sucked at communicating like this and this, and like, but I'm like, wow, we are thriving like this. Like, and my mom always said, like, you know, when you meet your person, it will be super easy. It will be like, you know, like obviously there's stuff to talk about, but like even when we did talk about those really deep, vulnerable, intense chats, it was like I felt expansive in my body, which is like a big wow, you know, because I have a pattern of being the avoidant, of disassociating from my body if I don't feel safe. So it was just so beautiful to witness each other and like witness each other. And I know it was super nurturing for him as well. And so just like unraveling just like this just sacred love, you know, of him doing his work and just like feeling whole and complete, and me in that space of like I've just like am living my best life, feeling whole and complete, and just like power couple coming together.
And was this your first time, you would say, like feeling like this resonant with another man, like in a romantic sense?
Yeah, it was like, it just, I'm still into like since we met, it was like every day was like a downloads of downloads, like downloads, like road tripping through Costa Rica, like in the car for 8 hours, just like literally downloading like all the codes, like literally sharing, expressing, holding each other, like do you feel complete, and just like all the things. And I mean, wow, just the journeys that we just like, you know, contained for each other. It was so magical. And he, so basically, if we fast forward, so we got to Nusara, and it's so tricky to explain like the reality of it, but he was doing his breath work in the pool. It was his 35th birthday, March 25th, and he was doing his breath work in the pool. So he'll usually like, you know, do the breath work, go underwater, come back up. Like, I witnessed him do it once, and the woman he was staying with also saw him do it. You know, it was just like a daily practice kind of thing. And so he was doing it the day of his birthday. He was just about to come meet me, literally within like 15 minutes. but they found him, he drowned. And there was, I mean, this is what we know, but there's a lot of just really cosmic parallels of like, he chose this. I mean, when Yali got home, it was her house with her son. She said that he was like at the bottom of the pool in lotus, like just like Buddha, just Buddha, like down there, you know, just on like a super deep exhale. Like I imagine him just like, you know, thinking probably like maybe, yeah, maybe he did take it too far, obviously. But you know, on that deep exhale and just was in that like deep space. And I know that this was like his chosen time. And I see just like the things that it's just catalyzing. Like we're talking about death, right? And just like the space that I was encapsulated in with him, like all those days leading up to his ascension, it was like my soul. I knew, like, for anyone else seeing it from afar, they would just be like, this is so shocking. How is this possible? Like, how did this happen? What happened? But I got to witness, like, we were the same, like, you know, emotionally, mentally, physically, just like on the same level where it felt so surreal, but also I felt so much love and bliss and peace. Like, I mean, being in that space with him, like I was in Nusara for about 3 more weeks until I decided like I need to come back to California and just like take a new energy. But when I was like that week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior was like almost like a high. Like I don't know how to describe it. It felt like I was high from his death and from the energy of death, and it felt really similar. I mean, the best way I can describe it was like maybe if you're present for like the birth of a baby, it was like that. It was like it was just like so much peace and bliss and love. And it just was like, yeah, okay, like the process of feeling like betrayed after, like, because it happened literally so quick. I mean, there was like a month of us, and it's just like, whoa, like that trauma of like that physical, like, yes, you're not even physically here with us, but also me integrating, just like mating my other half, and then like just like that. But it's just been like, wow. And another, I see him, and he's like my Saturn. He's like an angel. He's like my, you know, guiding me and really catalyzing, guiding all of us, because the way that Ari showed up to serve when, you know, when he did facilitate his breathwork journeys, it was a whole experience. And I remember that was the first thing that I noticed about him that night that we met. It was my best, it was like our girlfriend's birthday, intimate birthday party in Topanga, and he came with a friend of a friend, and so no one knew him, and he was just like literally dropped us all into breath work, and he's like, all right, gonna guide us through breath work. And I'm like, what? Like, one, who is this person? And two, he's doing breath work, like what's even? And then he's like so calm and collected, and just so embodied, like in serving. And he just, that to me was like one of the key takeaways, with like, you know, so many tools and gifts that he's blessed me with, but service being one, and embodiment as well, of just, I mean, now he is serving us in a way that couldn't necessarily be initiated on a physical level, you know, like, and I feel like that's truly his fate and his karma of like, he is best serving us from the realm that he has essentially graduated.
Wow.
You know, graduated too, because wow, like I celebrate him so much for this, for graduating this world. And of course it's like, fuck, it's so hard every day, because just just experiencing that, like the realness and the rawness of what is possible in relating and in connection and in relating to another human. Because I mean, there's so many days that I'm like so weird. And so it's still really hard for me, because he was one of those people that just understood me and saw me. And I know it was mutual for him as well. And of course I'm having my process in, you know, accepting and moving through that, because that's process in itself. But it's also like, I gifted him that. We gifted each other like this great love. And I see it for him as like that completed his cycle here. And for me, it's just like it's just like, wow, this light, he just like passed the torch to me and was just like, you fucking got this. Like, my mantra is just like, yes, you're a strong Jedi warrior goddess, Danielle, you got this, just keep going.
Wow. That's such an honor. Thank you so much for just sharing from your heart. And it's truly such an honor that he chose to spend his remaining time on Earth with you. Like, he could have chosen to spend it with anyone in the galaxy, and he chose to spend it with you. And not only to spend it with you, but to, I feel like you guys were just doing this like crazy sharing of, like, he was just like downloading all these codes into your soul, and you were downloading all these codes into his soul that you can take with yourselves now into the next realm. And like, what an honor, like truly what an honor to receive that and be able to have that as a gift on the way out for him and for you. And I don't know, this like vision of a shooting star was just like coming through my mind when I was hearing you talk about him. It's almost like he was like this fleeting, beautiful, magical event. But it's like, that's the magic of a shooting star. It is fleeting, right? That's what makes it so magical. So it's like, sometimes we want these like next level experiences, these highs to last forever. But if they lasted forever, it would take away from like the sacredness of them, right? In a sense.
Yeah.
So
And I just saw a shooting like last night, because I was in 2 nights ago I was up in Sequoia with girlfriends. And I mean, I've seen a lot of falling stars and shooting stars, and I mean, there's so many parallels, babe, that it would be a whole nother layer to go into like him and serious, and like just these talks that we had, and like just these parallels that like I experienced in Nusara, just giving myself what I needed after such a traumatizing experience that will forever change my life. Like, my life will a crow just like literally came into my field. The crow is him, because it's connected to Saturn and Pluto, and Saturn especially because we were exactly 7 years apart. And so, and I just started my Saturn return.
wow.
So he's like, he is my Saturn, you know? But
rules time too, so that's interesting.
time
Rules time, yeah.
just this like unraveling when, you know, you asked like how I've been moving through it and what's helped me. And when, you know, after he ascended, I was just like, well, wow, like, do I go back to California? Like, I mean, I don't know if I want to be here. Like, this is so tough. But I sat with it for a few days, and I was like, of course I want to be here. Like, I am living, nature is my medicine. And I literally was making fires every night on the beach there. and swimming in the ocean, and like the community there was just magnetized. Like, I mean, they were already there, but as soon as the the community found out what happened, it was just like there was so much like unconditional support and nurturing, and it was so healing. And coming back to the womb, right, it was like I was experiencing this death portal all over again. Like being in Nusara was like being in the womb, and it was so nurturing, and it was like this beautiful incubation period in nature. And it that to me is like is my medicine of choice. And nature, there's all the elements. I make the fire every night. And Ari, he always would like, we luckily we made a few fires together on the beach there, which was so magical. But he would always be like, he was like, I don't want to use the word obsessed because it's kind of a strong, he's like, you're obsessed with fire, basically. And I'm like, I'm only obsessed because the feeling, like what I feel when I make a fire, it's just like, it's alchemizing, it's transmuting so much. It's melting away all the impurities. Like, I just need to sit in front of it, and it's just doing all the work for me. And so, making a fire, I highly recommend. And if you're like, if you're in a process and you're deep and you're like, I don't have the luxury of having a beach where I can make a fire every night, like light Palo Santo or light an incense, or cooking even. Like, I'm in the kitchen. Like, this is why I love I love cooking because of a lot of reasons, but cooking, on a fire is fun also. So nature and breath work is the air element. It's the air element. We are made up of all the elements. Earth is, so basically cleansing and purifying through the different elements is like my thing. And it's definitely what helps me in cleaning and clearing my energy, and to also elevate and restore and fill me back up and evolve, right? So earth is anything physical, so moving, riding, dancing, singing, eating, massage, body work, like anything physical is considered earth element. And then water, water is so cleansing. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a water, and I'm like, bathing twice a day is incredible. Like cold showers in the morning, cleaning before you go to bed, and just clean drinking water. Shout out to Kangen water.
Yeah.
And then ether is like is the fifth element, which is love, but it's also kind of just like that. It's the spaces, it's the space really that like glues all the other pieces up together. It's like that interconnected web, that network that connects everything.
Wow, I almost feel like ether is just like being, like the meditation, and just like the spaciousness, and just like allowing whatever needs to move through you to move through you. Present. And I can't believe we're almost at an hour already, but anyone watching, it's been such an incredible conversation. If you're just joining now, you can watch the full recording of this video on SISociety on our page, where we do these taboo talks every Wednesday with a leading in our world. And today we've been having this amazing discussion around death and really around rebirth with Danielle. And I just want to give you the last 5 minutes if you would like to just share about some of your creations and your offerings for those who are watching and want to connect with you further and get to know you.
Thank you.
You.
Oh, I just feel so blessed and grateful just to be able to have this beautiful container, and share my process and as medicine for, because we're all connected, and what you're going through I'm going through, you know, the context is different, obviously, and it's unique to each of us, but in essence, it's the same stuff. And so if you are moving through a death, an ending of any sort, you know, whether you're moving homes or you're in a relationship and it's an end, or you are feeling like an end of an identity, or someone actually, you know, you knew transition, these are all invitations, they are initiations. And it's really beautiful when we can start to see it as an initiation, because that's what allows us to bring the power, put the power back into our own hands, and also in our bodies, because our bodies are so sacred. They're these amazing vessels that we came here in, and you know, embodiment is so key. When we can empower ourselves in our body, then everything else naturally just comes through in that sense, you know. Like, I mean, confidence, it's just like someone who's so deeply in love and feels that love within themselves. So if you are, so right now I'm offering, I have a few offerings present, but my main offering is my 6-week creative mentorship called Dare to Imagine.
Yes.
Which is just such a fun, playful container. It's only 6 weeks, and we meet every week, and we really just dive into all the things that allow you to tap into your most creative, that Shakti energy, right? That unlimited creative energy where we are flexing like a muscle. The right side of the brain, which is the creative side, it's the feminine side, it's where imagination lives, it's play, it's dreaming, it's breath work, it's all of these tools that allow us to tap into that creative state, because your creativity is that limitless power. And yeah, we explore if, and I'll provide you with the tools that are unique to your design, because you know, we all have our special tools, and there's just so many amazing tools that we can just, we're so blessed with so many tools in this day, to just, you know, whip out when we need them. And it's about the balance. So yeah, that if you are curious and you want to explore working with me, you can send me a DM. I love a good DM, and we can chat. And yeah, I have a lot of other offerings as well, like a brands and my dream journals and a lot of other passion projects going on, but we can always explore that further, for anyone who wants to. So just basking in this right now. Oh,
Heather,
and
do
I
you want to close this out?
thank you guys also for just for holding this container for Taboo Talks, because we fucking need it. This is what we need, and this is what we're here for. And like, I'm all about just like getting uncomfortable, you know, and I'm like, yes, let's get uncomfortable. Like, if it's uncomfortable, that means change, that means growth, that means evolution. So I appreciate you guys creating this and inviting me in to share my powerful story that's emerging every day as hope and as inspiration. And thank you.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Thank you so much for that reflection. And that also just reminds me that for anyone who wants to deepen your connection with Taboo, that you want to explore, that you want to push yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit and connect with curated community members who are also interested in their own expansion through shadow play is what we like to call it. We have a whole private community as well. So if that's something you're interested in joining for more discussions like this, please just reach out to SISociety through our DM. We also love to receive DMs, and we would love to add you to that group as well.
Mhm.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Heather. I love both of you, Beaming Beauties, so much.
Yes, thank you. I'm so grateful for you and your energy. And I think, I mean, there's so many, we're all just such medicine for one another. And
Mm-hmm.
you are medicine. You've been served as such medicine for me. So thank you for showing up so authentically in your truth. And I see that as soon as we welcome death with love and compassion, there's life and there's medicine, and we are living proof of that, right? So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Danielle, for your time. Thank you, Alfina, for existing. I'm so grateful to have you as a soul operator. And this hour went by so quickly.
So quickly.
Where can we find this? So will this live be on the SISociety page or on the platform?
Both. Well, it will be on the SISociety page, under highlights are all the videos are under there. So this will be archived, yes. And yeah, just so grateful. I'm gonna be integrating like everything you're sharing. I feel like you have so much, like I feel all the prana, the mana, like energy running through you, this vital life force. It's like your battery just got supercharged and you're overflowing with creative energy. And it's really, really, really beautiful to witness this radiant rebirth on the other side of this death portal. And someone in the chat asked, what is a death portal earlier? So maybe just in like one sentence, how would you answer that question?
Great question. A death portal is, in essence, an ending. It's when it's a space where death is present, and death meaning not just a physical death, but as we mentioned before, the ending, death, or AKA an ending of a cycle of relationship, of, you know, an identity, an old story, a thought pattern, moving, you know, there can be so many. So in essence, a death portal really is just an ending that you are experiencing. And you know, portal, because it's such a sacred space. It's an initiation as well. And you know, we love portals.
Yeah, it's like you jump through. I've been getting this image of like a wormhole.
Yeah.
And it's like smaller and smaller. And I'm like, wait for me. And like
Yeah.
jumping through. And then there's
Wow.
like this whole new world waiting on the other side.
Like the sun.
Because I like saw, we were saying death portal because it's a doorway, right? And I was seeing like a death womb, right? Like we're in this birth, that the lines are really blurred between life and death. It's like everything is a womb. Everything is an opportunity to learn and to remember who we are, why we're here, and how. And yeah, I love that we all have different, like we've had these different downloads around it and different visuals around it, but we're all explaining the same thing and speaking the same language.
Yeah. Also getting like a void.
Yeah.
The fertilist void. The fertilist void.
Yeah.